Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. There was a brief period in the late 2000s when Disney was putting out games unrelated to its movies or shows. In that time, they put out interesting racing games that many still remember. One of those games was Pure, an off-road ATV racer. It's a racing game that I still see mentioned to this day. I played through it recently, and let me tell you about some history, my opinions on the game, and its lasting impact. All footage was captured on an Xbox 360 except when noted, and I want to thank my YouTube channel members for their support, and let's go ahead and hop into this one.
Come on!
Climax Studios was a studio that maybe not many people know about, but may have seen the covers of their games everywhere. This was a studio that started in 1998 and developed plenty of racing games during their tenure, working on the MotoGP motorcycle racing series and the PlayStation ATV Off-Road Fury series. I feel like every PS2 owner had a copy of one of these in their library whenever I went over to their houses. These were a prolific series with multiple entries from 2002 to 2007. They also released some Hot Wheels games and a few racing titles, so they knew their racing games. Yet in 2006, Climax Studios was sold to Disney Interactive. In the eyes of the studio CEO, it would bolster their team and build them up to make a great next-generation presence. What was known as Buena Vista Interactive had recently changed to Disney Interactive Studios, and though Disney had been in the gaming business for a long time, they had ramped it up a lot in the 7th gen. Not only in Disney movie-branded games, but games like Turok, which was a reboot of an M-rated shooter series. They also bought the children's MMO Club Penguin in 2007, bringing that into the Disney fold. This signifies not only the massive buyouts Disney would ramp up to in this era, but also that they're trying to be more than just their cartoon and live action movie properties. So this buyout isn't too surprising. Climax updated their name to BlackRock Studios in 2007. They also would not go into Disney games and would stick to their racing roots, announcing Pure in early 2008. They said they'd make a quad game that would feature unique elements and amazing tricks. It had been in development for 15 months at this point. Throughout the following year, it would be shown off at various trade shows and outlets like IGN, who thought it looked like fun and hyped up the graphics a lot. It would also win many various racing game awards for E3 from various publications and websites, so the hype was there. Without any major delays, Pure was released that fall on September 23, 2008, in North America for the 360, PS3, and PC. It would get a European release a few days later and an Australian release in October. I've played a tiny bit of this game before recently, but I've always been intrigued because I love BlackRock's follow-up Split Second. So I was interested in playing this one entirely, so I checked it out. I played through it recently, and let me tell you how I felt about it, breaking it down, starting with the gameplay. Pure is simple in terms of game modes. You have your standard racing elements such as single racing, time trials, and since this game has tricks, a freestyle trick mode. The bulk of your gameplay will be under the career mode though. Here you can select from a bunch of pre-made characters moving from group to group of races, each getting harder and harder. You unlock parts and engines to build your ATV, each with different stats to make your time racing or freestyling better than the competition. Racing in this game feels good. Controls on these ATVs are smooth but easy to drift and take turns that slide hard. It gives the racing game a different edge that makes turning feel nice. Racing through these open terrain dirt areas, you also kick up mud and take tight turns, and managing that on your vehicle is a breeze. Pure is an arcade racer at heart, allowing for something easy to pick up and play. Accelerating and turning is smooth and instinctual. Throw in the tricking system, which gains you boosts for races, and you get something very speedy and entertaining as well. The trick system is one of my favorite elements in this game. When you're in the air, you mix a button press with a direction and you pull off a move. This will build up your boost meter, allowing you to incorporate more buttons for longer tricks in the air. When you get into the more complicated tricks, it's a game of testing if you can finish your trick before landing. This game of testing the limits of your tricks is addicting, and getting one done right before hitting the ground is elating. You can't repeat tricks, so it's all about keeping the variety strong. The freestyle rounds ask you to get as many points as possible while tricking. This is done by combining tricks with a certain amount of time, but also picking up tokens around the track that might multiply your score or increase your boost. This feels like an arcade game, and I love that. It's fast and goes by in a blaze because you're so focused on moving from jump to jump, getting the highest score possible. The racing mode is solid as well, but it is simplistic. Turning and tricks for boosting feel good on these giant tracks. These tracks layer over each other with many deviations. There's also a ton of other racers on the track, so expect to run into them all the time. The courses' packed nature and tracks layering make this game feel anything but static. There's always some kind of movement, making for something highly entertaining. Mix that with tight racing controls and you will have a good time. The ATV building has you mixing and matching parts you win to make bikes that are good at freestyling or races. I found this system to be a little convoluted, but I think it's more of just not my thing, and luckily there's a system that just builds the best model for you. So it seems to be a good system for someone who likes the customization, but it's not necessary. On top of that, you can take these into the multiplayer mode, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any games to play online. It seems they're still available though, so if I do see a chance to play with some people, I'll update you all here. Even though I don't think it would fix the issue of this game just not having much to do, the main career mode is short and you can breeze through it. Getting every achievement takes a little longer, but it's mainly just achievements for the career mode and coming in first for each race or freestyle. There's not much going on besides online and singular modes. The tracks also seem to be small in amount, but they do each have enough fun where that's not too bad of a deal. I would say that the limited amount of content doesn't make this game bad at all. It's still a fun racing and freestyle experience. Once you get to your ATV and you're on the dirt, it's addicting. I went through all of this content fast because it was so much fun. For 2008, Pure is a great looking game. The environments you race in feel like the outdoors with dirt and mud effects everywhere. You'll kick up dirt and fling things all around, making the environment come to life. All the tracks are crafted lovingly, and the amount of detail packed into them is solid. I love how the tracks seem to weave around each other, and elements like rocks or caves can split the areas up as you go. Lighting is also impeccable here. The way it peeks through terrain and certain elements makes it cast these strong shadows. The sun's intensity changes when switching locales, giving every place something unique. The characters you race don't have that much personality though. They're just cartoons when you pick them, but they all look like the same exact character model. The ATVs are fine too, but nothing incredible. Not that they're bad, but I think the game is focused on the natural environment, and it knocks that out of the park. This game is also backwards compatible with the Series and One consoles if you want to check it out there. Unfortunately, it has been delisted from the online store, so you will need a disc to play it on there if you never bought it digitally. It's a solid looking game on there as well. The sound effect work in Pure is handled well. Tires spinning out in the dirt sounds great, and the loud engines of the ATVs are authentic. It's your general racing game fare, but a bit louder because it's ATVs. I love the small touches of sound when you perform a unique trick or get into combos. They have some really nice feedback, and the sound of landing back on the ground is nice. These noises are apparent, especially in the freestyle mode. I think the boost noises and such things like that give me that Hydro Thunder feel. This feels like an ATV Thunder game to me, and that's not a bad thing at all. The characters make a surprising amount of noise here, and that's a little annoying. Every character has different voice actors and they only have a few lines. It's a lot of whoops and saying one-off braggy lines. It's repeated so much that it made me swap characters many times. It's not detrimental though, the music covers it up a bit, and I don't love the music here. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not my favorite. I wasn't profoundly getting into a lot of the power pop and rock tracks, but I know many people do enjoy the soundtrack, so I'll just say it really just wasn't for me. Pure is a solid racer on the 360. Though I had some sound issues and there's a lack of content, it was a blast. Racing and handling all work well, especially in the lovingly designed tracks. These feel huge and how they're laid out makes it feel like there's constant action. The freestyle mode was the star for me though. Building high scores by pulling off daring tricks was so much fun. I honestly could have used more of that. Overall, it's a solid racing package for any fan of racers, not just ATV games. BlackRock shows off that they know what to do with a racing game. On my ranking list of 360 games I've covered on this channel, Pure enters in at 15 out of 22. I liked it better than Crackdown in terms of replayability, but Dante's Inferno has a stronger identity that I think makes that one more memorable. Pure came out to generally favorable reviews according to Metacritic with a score of 85. However, consider that none of the reviews gave it an average or negative score. IGN gave it an 8.4, saying it was an arcadey blast but lacked depth. GameSpot gave it an 8, saying it was breathtaking and had a fun trick system, but thought it wasn't original. In the October 2008 issue of Official Xbox Magazine, Dan Amrich gave it a 9, saying it was beautiful and unpretentious, but would have loved to have had a player-created character. According to VG Charts, Pure was a critical sales hit, and it's estimated that it sold around 2.5 million copies. This, of course, was helped by the fact that in 2009, it was a bundle game for the 360, along with Lego Batman. It seemed like BlackRock would hit a hot streak under Disney, but that wouldn't last long. In 2010, they released the extraordinary Split Second, another fun racer. Though it had good reviews, Disney Interactive had other plans and laid off around 100 people on their team due to redundancy. Then in 2011, everyone else was laid off, canceling 2 sequels that they had been working on for Pure and Split Second. Disney Interactive would shut down more studios, and afterwards, later in the 2010s, would shut down themselves. A fascinating story that might make for a good video on its own. Pure and Split Screen live on as hidden but great racing games. On Backlogged, it holds a 3.2 with a little over 700 plays. Many reviews talk about how addicting the racing action is, or just say it's a solid racing title. Pure is definitely worth looking at if you like a speedy and arcadey racing game. But that does wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, it really helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with the Retro Xbox content. Check out Camp Extras for more retro game reviews. Comment below with any memories you have with Pure, I'd love to hear from you. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support. You really help out the channel. And I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.